Breaking tonight, growing suggestions that Hillary Clinton and her staff may have intentionally obstructed justice, destroying evidence in the middle of an investigation. Welcome to the Kelly File, everyone. I'm Megyn Kelly. House Oversight Chairman Jason Chaffetz sent a letter to the District Attorney for Washington, D.C. today, calling for a new probe in the conduct of both Mrs. Clinton and her staffers. Chaffetz says that after reviewing documents released on Friday by FBI Director James Comey, he believes there may be evidence of, quote, obstruction of justice and destruction of evidence by Secretary Clinton and her employees and contractors. When asked about it earlier today, Clinton not only said that she's innocent, she also suggested this is simply another GOP conspiracy.
Do you have any concerns that emails were deleted after they were already supposed to be preserved, and did you ask for them to be deleted?
No, of course not. I have no concern on either count. None. And neither did the FBI.
By the way, U.S. Attorney, not District Attorney. In a moment, we will be joined by Judge Anna Napolitano, who has reviewed some of the evidence and has a really, actually, interesting outtake. Well, take. And senior political analyst for Hume, who's here on the Fallout. But first, we go to Trace Gallagher, who's live at our breaking news desk. Hey, Trace.
Hey, Megyn, in calling for the obstruction of justice investigation, Utah GOP Congressman Jason Chaffetz is citing evidence that focuses mainly on a 3.5-month period from December of 2014 to March of 2015. December of 2014, you'll recall, is when Hillary Clinton and her team turned over some 55,000 work-related emails to the State Department. That same month, according to FBI files, top Hillary Clinton aide Cheryl Mills, who's also a lawyer, apparently instructs unnamed employees of Platt River Networks, that's the company that maintained Clinton's server, to delete the old archives and make sure new emails are only saved for 60 days. But in March of 2015, when the New York Times broke the story of Hillary Clinton's private email server, the Benghazi Select Committee issued a new flurry of subpoenas to obtain the emails. And the FBI files show that a Platt River employee had a, quote, oh blank moment, realizing he didn't wipe the server clean back in December like he was supposed to. Days later, Hillary Clinton's aides and lawyers have a conference call with Platt River employees, and House Republicans say despite the emails being under subpoena, a new round of deleting begins, including the use of a computer shredding program. In a letter to the U.S. Attorney for D.C., Chaffetz writes, quoting, the department should investigate and determine whether Secretary Clinton or her employees and contractors violated statutes that prohibit destruction of records and concealment or cover-up of evidence material to a congressional investigation. Here's more of Hillary Clinton trying to knock this thing down. Watch.
The FBI resolved all of this. Their report answered all the questions. The findings included debunking his latest conspiracy theories.
Congressman Chaffetz is also calling on the FBI to release public testimony of Clinton aides and employees of Platt River. Megyn.
Trace, thank you. Joining me now, Fox News senior judicial analyst Judge Anna Napolitano, who reviewed these FBI documents, and he joins us now with what he found dumped right before Labor Day. As she's done this 4 times now, she's actually, you know, she or her team, right. they somehow they always find a way before Memorial Day, before July 4th, before Labor Day, and then the other one was New Year's Eve, right? Right. Those are the 4. Look, there it is. Purely coincidental, but what may have happened here is important. You don't get a subpoena and then start destroying documents.
Well,
that's not okay.
Okay, so that is what happened here. Congressman Chaffetz is correct in his timeline. The subpoena was issued and then the documents were destroyed. Congressman Gowdy is correct. We're talking about 2 different committees. Congressman Chaffetz runs the House Oversight Committee, Congressman Gowdy the House Benghazi Committee. Both put on notice Secretary Clinton. In fact, Congressman Gowdy's committee put Secretary Clinton on notice while she was still Secretary of State.
Because they were like, wait a minute, you have your own private server? And you didn't give us any of the documents from it in response to our earlier subpoenas? Well, we want that. And you better not destroy anything between now and the time we get it. And she did.
Correct. Now we found out that it was destroyed. Now here's the very, very troubling news. We learned this on Friday. We learned this from the FBI. Mm-hmm. The FBI knew that servers were wiped clean, that BlackBerries were smashed and destroyed, and that a laptop was lost in the U.S. mail. The FBI ought to have pursued Mrs. Clinton and the people around her for obstruction of justice, and it did not do so. That is exceptionally distressing. The case against her for failure to secure state secrets is overwhelming. Now the case against somebody, we don't know who, for obstruction of justice is overwhelming, and Megan, the FBI has done nothing. Someone, somewhere, it must be the White House, has restrained the FBI from doing its job.
You look at the evidence right before this Platt River Networks. They were the ones who deleted her email archives pursuant to her order is how it looks. This is the guy who had the blank moment.
Right.
He had been told to do it before.
Right.
He claims, I forgot, and then I saw the subpoena, and suddenly I remembered. I was supposed to delete everything, everything of interest.
They're going to blame me. I better take a sledgehammer to a couple of blackberries.
Right, but here's what happened before he did the deleting after the subpoena. He had a conference call with Secretary Clinton's attorneys just days before the deletions. Created a work ticket on or about the day of the deletion. Used BleachBit, a software program designed to prevent recovery of evidence. Manual deletion of backups. And on it goes. And the question is, was this intentional? And what were they hiding, if anything?
How could it not have been intentional with the regular, consistent, systematic destruction of evidence? And I'm sorry to tell you, her lawyers may have been involved in this, which adds another entirely different level of culpability.
What if they say none of this stuff was responsive, and therefore we didn't need to keep it? It was all yoga, blah, blah, blah. You know, like that was, who cares? We could delete that stuff.
She swore under oath to a federal judge, and she swore under oath to 2 congressional committees. She returned all of her work-related emails. The FBI found 17,800 work-related emails that she failed to return. Not all of them were readable because some of them had been destroyed. You tell me that's not a prima facie case of obstruction of justice, and the FBI has done nothing about it. And I don't know how far Congressman Chaffetz is going to go. Election day is 63 days from now. I don't even know that he could get to first base between now and election day.
You say the DOJ actually, or the FBI actually violated policy in that interview. You believe they violated their own policy.
Yes. How? Her lawyers told the DOJ she will not show up for an interview if you record it. It is policy of the DOJ to record every interview. There is no record of what she said other than the summaries written by the FBI agents who were in the room and who listened to her. In this digital age, there is no recording. There's a verbatim recording of every single other one of the witnesses interrogated in this case, except for Mrs. Clinton.
Wow. I'm sure.
How far can this go?
I'm sure the average Joe watching at home right now could get such an exception as well. I'm sure.
Right.
If they got in trouble, there'd be no problem with all the stories that she has told that have turned out just not to add up. And then this. Listen, maybe there'll be an explanation other than the FBI has cleared me and you're all a bunch of idiots.
Right.
We'll wait for that. Judge, good to see you.
Well, good to be with you.
Well, that she didn't really say that second part. So this story is the latest in a series of damaging revelations for Mrs. Clinton, covering both her handling of classified information and questions about the Clinton Foundation. Along with those revelations, we've seen a gradual but steady erosion in her poll numbers. Britt Hume is with us now on that. He's the Fox News senior political analyst and the newly named host of On the Record. Britt, it's great to see you again in so many different capacities.
Well, thanks, Megan. It's kind of you. I'm only going to be there through the election, but I'm excited about it.
And then back to God, golf, and grandchildren, which I know is the Britt Hume retirement plan. All right, so let's talk about Hillary Clinton and her. I mean, she's lost a 10-point lead. The news for her day after day after day, you know, it's not devastating on any one day, but it seems like we're getting to the death by 1,000 cuts feel.
Well, Megan, it seems to me that what she needs to do is to try to overcome this severe problem she's had with people not trusting her. And, you know, I don't think she can eliminate the problem, but she might be able to gain some ground against the problem. And as long as these questions and revelations persist, it will be very difficult for her to do that. So that's the problem for her, that she's being held down by these questions. And, you know, it could reach the point where people just decide, you know, I just can't vote for this woman. Mm-hmm. And at which point they look at Donald Trump and say, can I vote for him? And you could kind of posit a scenario in which, he carries on the rest of this campaign in kind of the way he has, with, making set piece speeches and doing things that people didn't think he'd do, like the trip to Mexico and so on. And he might gain enough ground to where, he wins the election. Mm-hmm. It's within the realm of possibility as we look out from this day.
Now, so how big an impact do you think things like this email scandal have had on her? Because it doesn't seem like, other than the email scandal and the Clinton Foundation, Trump is going after her on that many issues. But those issues refuse to die. Every day we get something new on something else she's told us that's not true, something else she's done that is potentially problematic.
Well, that's right, and whatever he says about it is augmented by the revelations. So, people, they hear him talking about it, and they may or may not, respond because of him. But when what he is saying is buttressed, reinforced by revelations of the kind that we've had just in recent days. They keep finding more of these emails. She was supposed to have turned them all over. They keep finding out that there were more devices than she claimed that she had. All these things, while none of them by themselves is a death blow, is the death by 1,000 cuts, mm-hmm. and the cuts keep coming.
Mm-hmm. What do you make of this 13 BlackBerry devices, Britt, which the aide is killing with a hammer, and it all in the wake of, I just wanted to carry the one device. That was her whole explanation for not doing it the way she was supposed to.
Well, what we're hearing from her supporters is that she was only carrying one of them at a time, and there's a certain truth to that. I mean, after all, I have an iPhone and I have an iPad, and I don't use them usually simultaneously. And over time, these things break, or you get new models, and so it's possible that my email has been used on several different devices. But 13? Right. That seems like an awful lot against the claim that she was doing one at a time. So I think the people look at that and it just doesn't sound right to them, and it makes people just look at this woman and say, "Can she tell the truth?"
So what is she going to do now?
Will she tell the truth?
Is she going to come out of the witness protection program and start actually giving interviews and speaking to reporters?
Well, she's
on the back of the plane. How are you feeling? Notwithstanding, she hasn't been hit with a lot of tough questions lately.
Well, she's got a few. She took a few, and she didn't seem to have a lot of trouble with them, which raises the question, I think, of whether she really has anything to fear from a full-blown news conference. Mm-hmm. But I've only known her to hold a few, and I was actually present in the room at the one she held way back in the 90s on Whitewater, which was like 2 hours. She took questions. It wasn't a terribly convincing performance. I remember it well. But it got her over the hump, mm-hmm. and kind of put the matter to rest at least. So she probably is going to have to do one of these sometime, and we'll see. I don't think the public cares a whit, by the way, whether she holds one or not. But it does add, I think, to reporters' suspicions about her, and reporters are not that unfavorably disposed toward her. And if she comes out and has a few news conferences and talks to them, they like that better.
Mm-hmm. If she would try communicating a little. She's been waiting for Donald Trump to lose, and he had been, but he's having a good time right now in terms of the poll swing, and she's going to have to think about what that means for her. We're going to pick that up with Larry Sabato in just a minute. Britt, great to see you.
Oh, thanks, Megan.
Well, Hillary isn't the only one under fire after this document dump, with House Speaker Paul Ryan now suggesting the FBI appears to be acting as an arm of Mrs. Clinton's presidential campaign. Former FBI Assistant Director James Kallstrom has some thoughts on that. He's right after this break. Plus, Steyerwalt and Kurtz are here with new details on the presidential debates and the new controversy already making the rounds. Stay tuned.
I look forward to the debates. I think it's an important element of what we're doing. I think you have an obligation to do the debates.
Breaking tonight, Hillary Clinton isn't the only one taking heat after the FBI's holiday weekend document dump. Here's House Speaker Paul Ryan earlier today.
I can't believe that they would do what is such a patently political move. It makes them look like political operators versus law enforcement officers.
Over on another cable channel, political analyst Mark Halperin wasn't much kinder.
To release this on a Friday as if he's an arm of the Clinton campaign, I'm just stunned, because there's a lot of information in here that's of great public interest. And if you really cared about transparency, you would say to yourself, is the best time to release this to get a full public hearing on Friday before Labor Day?
By the way, following up.
Joining me now, James Kallstrom, former assistant director in charge of the FBI. Jim, good to see you. So, what do you make of the FBI's decisions here and the protocol they used?
Hi, Megan. I was shocked and furious and dismayed that